There is an ancient practice where a disembodied consciousness can take on a new form. But it is a dark art fraught with pain and terror. The next time you see a friend or loved one who is behaving out of character, ask yourself, is it really them anymore? The rain lashed against the windows of the old abandoned hospital, the wind howling like a tormented soul as it whipped through the empty corridors. Mike, John, Kelly, and Eric huddled together under the shelter of the entrance, their flashlights casting long shadows against the crumbling walls. "You sure about this, Mike?" John asked, his voice barely audible over the roar of the storm. Mike nodded, his heart pounding in his chest with a mix of excitement and fear. "Yeah, it'll be fun. Just imagine the stories we'll have to tell." Kelly shot him a skeptical look, her eyes darting nervously around the dilapidated building. "I don't know about this, guys. It looks really creepy." But Eric just laughed, his bravado masking the unease that lurked beneath the surface. "Come on, Kelly, where's your sense of adventure? This place is supposed to be haunted, remember?" With a reluctant sigh, Kelly nodded, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "Fine, let's do this. But if anything happens, it's on you, Mike." With their makeshift weapons at the ready, a baseball bat, a crowbar, and a flashlight, they ventured into the darkness, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. The air was thick with dust and decay, the scent of mildew clinging to the walls like a shroud. As they explored the abandoned hospital, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that something sinister lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce. But they pressed on, their curiosity driving them deeper into the heart of the darkness. It wasn't long before they realized that they were not alone. Strange noises echoed through the corridors, disembodied whispers that sent shivers down their spines. Kelly clung to John's arm, her knuckles white with fear as they crept through the darkness. But as they rounded a corner, they were met with a sight that chilled them to the bone. Standing before them was a figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. With a cry of terror, they turned to flee, but it was too late. The figure lunged at them with inhuman speed, its claws slashing through the air with deadly precision. In the chaos that followed, they were separated, each of them running for their lives through the labyrinthine corridors of the abandoned hospital. One by one, they fell, their screams echoing through the empty halls as they were picked off by the unseen menace that hunted them. Mike stumbled and fell, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he struggled to push himself back to his feet. But as he turned the corner, he came face to face with the source of the terror that had haunted them all night. Before him stood a group of cloaked figures, their faces hidden in the shadows as they chanted in a language that Mike couldn't understand. As the cloaked figures continued their chant in the incomprehensible language, Mike's heart pounded in his chest with a mixture of fear and determination. He knew he had to do something, anything, to save his friends from whatever fate awaited them. With a surge of adrenaline, he followed the figures as they descended deeper into the bowels of the abandoned hospital, his footsteps echoing in the narrow stairwell. The air grew colder with each step, the darkness pressing in around him like a suffocating blanket. Finally, they reached a deep sub-basement, a forgotten chamber hidden from the world above. Mike's breath caught in his throat as he took in the scene before him. The chamber was illuminated by flickering torches, their flames casting eerie shadows on the damp stone walls. In the center of the chamber stood an altar covered with strange symbols, its surface stained with dried blood. Surrounding it were the cloaked figures, their voices rising in a crescendo of sound as they prepared for the ritual. And there, on the cold stone floor, lay John, Kelly, and Eric, their eyes wide with terror as they struggled against their bonds. Mike's heart twisted with guilt as he saw the fear in their eyes, knowing that he was the only one who could save them. With a silent prayer, he stepped forward, his hands trembling as he approached the altar. The cloaked figures turned to him, their eyes gleaming with anticipation as they beckoned him closer. They had an offer for him. Join us or suffer with your friends. He took a trembling look around the room, seeing at least 40 cloaked figures hiding in the shadows. There was no escape. With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, he knew that there was only one way to save himself. With trembling hands, he stepped forward, his voice barely a whisper as he repeated the words that would seal his fate. I commit myself to the forgotten. As the ritual reached its climax, Mike closed his eyes, unable to bear the sight of his friends being sacrificed before his very eyes. And when he opened them again, the 4 of them were lying dazed in the entrance, the hospital silent once more. What had just happened? As they stumbled out into the stormy night, Mike knew that he would never forget the echoes of the forgotten, the screams of his friends ringing in his ears, haunted by the memory of what he had done to save himself. He didn't know it right then, but the forgotten consciousness that was now within him stirred, and began to watch and learn, for it would not be long before Mike would become nothing more than an observer in his own body. Beside him John, Eric, and Kelly were already lost.